Hi, everybody. I hope you're doing well. I finally put together a reading journal that I'm very excited to share with you. If you don't know, I recently started a live book club here on my YouTube channel. What I do is I give a selection of books. My community votes on the book that they want to read, and then we all read the book. In about a month's time, we come back and we have a live here on my channel. So if you want to see today's selection for the month of August, stay till the end and I will reveal the book that won. In the meantime, I have been promising to do a reading journal, and honestly, it's been really difficult for me. There is just so much out there. I tried a reading journal last year that I wasn't very successful with. In fact, I ripped out the page that I really liked from here and I added it to this, which I will show you. Just so everybody knows, I am not an avid reader. This is definitely something I've been working towards. It's a really good time in my life to read a lot, and that's why I started book club, because I just needed some accountability. This is an Archer and Olive notebook that I bought years ago. This was a special release cover. I had missed the launch for this so many times. This was back in my bullet journaling days. When it finally came back into stock, I ordered two. Now I filled up the first one and I've been saving this one for a rainy day, and it just really feels right. So this is my reading journal. It is very thick. The pages are very thick here. Let me just see if I can come back. Okay, here is a better view for you. One of the things I felt really strongly about was not making this solely a 2025 reading journal. Although there are some annual goals in here for me, I've learned that I like open-ended stuff. And I think that that is what's going to make this style successful for me. So if you're anything like me and you're not good at doing habit trackers and charting how many minutes you read, my brain just doesn't think that way. I want this to be cozy. I want to reach for it. So I really thought of that going into my setup here. Let's get into it. Always like to do something very simple on my front page to just set the tone. I actually covered the Archer and Olive branding with this little sticker. I've had these book stickers for a really long time. I have collected some things that will work in particular for this journal, and I'll show you my supplies. Okay, this page I plan on coming back to and just doing maybe a collage or something like book journal-y looking. But I have this thing about filling out this first page right away. It just kind of stresses me out, so I just left it empty. So here is the page that was in my old reading journal from last year. I was really proud of this. I wanted my journal to be super artsy. I still wanted it to be simplified, but I ended up drawing the little bookcase. I had a key. Physical books were in purple, audiobooks were pink, and Kindles in tan, and then I filled in the books that I read. This was great, but the problem was this was the one and only page I did in my book journal. This is a sticker from one of my favorite bookstores in New York City, and then I did an entry about Jane Austen. That was it. So clearly this wasn't working for me. But because I started working on my reading journal in 2024, and I really did start reading more than I typically do in 2024, I wanted to acknowledge the books I had read. So I did a little masking tape here, and I did like a little peekaboo where I just did the covers of the books that I read last year. This is Pride and Prejudice from Jane Austen, The Housemaid from Frida McFadden, Ellen Hildebrand, Hotel Nantucket, Jane Eyre. Everyone in my family has killed someone, and everyone on this train is a suspect. So those were my 6 books last year. I may have read 1 or 2 more. These are the ones that I could think of. So I just did a little tribute to last year, but I decided to not take these books with me into this year's journal because I didn't want to overwhelm myself. Now over here, I decided to do a little key because one of the other struggles I have, and I don't know if you're the same way, but I don't like it when my notebooks don't look streamlined. But I have a tendency to want to try new pens, new inks. I'm really into fountain pens, as many of you know. So sometimes I can just get carried away. Then things look messy to me, and then I don't want to reach for them. So I wanted to have a system that was streamlined, had some color in it, but kind of followed some sort of a palette or a vibe. So I decided to go with certain inks. And I think I also decided that I'm usually going to use the same pens over here. Reading goals. Hopefully it's not too boring. Oh boy, am I really finally digging into this journal. I'm so excited. My overall reading goal is to make reading part of my everyday life. The timing is perfect. As I said last year, I'm in my reading era. Audiobooks have been amazing, but I think using my eyes would force me to focus and help me slow down, so I'd love to read more physical books and Kindle books. I want to continue to visit fun and inspiring bookshops and journal about them in here. I don't want to focus too much on the current year because I want to be in this journal for years to come. I just want to reach for this several times a week and enjoy my time here. I'm hoping to read 25 books in 2025. This will be the most I've ever read in a single year. Go me. I'm not really on track to do that, but it's my goal. I'd also like to continue my Lori Ann Tata. That's my new branding for this YouTube channel. Used to be Time with Tata. Now it's just my name, Lori Ann Tata Reading Book Club, and grow it to be a regular, consistent live on my channel. Excited for what lies ahead. Now let's get reading. So this kind of sets the tone for this book. And you can probably tell by this that my reading goal is not so rigid. And I think I've learned the more rigid, the less likely I am to embrace it. I have a hard time with my attention span, and if I have dated calendars, they stress me out. And being too rigid with my reading goals also will take the joy out of it for me. Another thing you'll see through this notebook, because it's very simple, is I've just done this little bit of a frame. I've been sketching a little bit lately, doing watercolors as well, and I really find that framing something in, it just does something. It like sets the tone for the page. I'm not using a ruler in a lot of this, but you'll see that I do frame things in, and I'm just framing it with this mild liner in brown. I have a couple that I'm using. So that's it. Those are my reading goals. I might do something a little charty over here, but I left that open-ended, and I'm really okay with some empty pages in this notebook. I just want to use it. Okay, so 25 books in 2025. Here's the big goal here. I had originally done a bunch of cutouts. I just did screenshots of these books from Amazon or whichever book color I liked. Sometimes it would be on Barnes & Noble or whatever. I took a screenshot, then I brought them over to Canva. I shrunk them down to a size, and then I printed it on regular computer paper. I did 2 copies. I have a couple ways that I want to use these, but I realized really quickly here that I wasn't going to fit 25 books here. I made this too big. So I need to resize some of these, and that's okay because I have a couple to already add to it. This is a book I haven't read yet. Some of these are from 2024, so I decided not to use them. But this is what this will look like. 25 books in 2025. I have to shrink them down. But I really love this visual. I love seeing the covers of books. So again, super simple. I decided that I'm using my TWSBI fountain pen. This is the Diamond 580 in the color Smoke with rose gold trim. This is a nice portable pen. I believe it has a broad nib, and then I've been going over the broad nib to make it, a little more title worthy. And then again, my simple frame here. So I got these 2 highlighter pens at a shop in Boston on Newbury Street. I think it's like a Korean shop, and they have some stationery, if I'm not mistaken. This just says Monet Colors. Never heard of it before. These are the 4 mild liners that I'm using in here. I've used this gray a lot, and it really leans green, you'll see, but that's okay. And then this pink and the brown. So these are the mild liners that I'm using, and I'm just like framing it in. Super simple. Okay, next up is my To Be Read. I'm really excited about this, and this is one that I feel like is a really practical page. People do these in all sorts of ways. I opted to just do a simple list. As I mentioned, I had a collection of like bookish stickers. I think I got like a 50 pack off of Amazon, and I just pulled out the ones that I liked. And I bought these like several months ago. I've started a list here, and a couple of these books I've already started, like The Lioness of Boston. I'm like 3/4 of the way through that book. I just need to finish it. Wuthering Heights, I started last year. I'm revisiting that. I'm really excited to read this in the fall because it's like a gothic kind of eerie book. So I'm excited to read that in the fall. So title, author, and do I own it? And then what version? I own The Lioness of Boston, Kindle format, Saltwater, I haven't bought yet. I left that blank. Court of Mist and Fury, Audible, Wuthering Heights, I own the book. So Kindle, Audible, book, and then empty I kind of wish I had brought the line all the way across. I didn't really need to break it there. It would have gone faster. This spread took me kind of a fair amount of time just because of the highlighting portion. I used this mild liner. In retrospect, I kind of wish I had just filled it all the way across and just done straight every other line because I just like the way that that looks. I had this little tiny sticker left over from one of my sticker sheets from Coffee Monsters Co. I thought it was cute because it was like a little check mark. And then once I read the book, I guess maybe I'll check it off here. This is just the beginning. These were books that like I know I've either started or I'm definitely going to read. So I have 32 on this list. Again, this is another reason why I didn't want this to be just 2025 because this will be ongoing. It's August 2nd as I'm filming this. We're already halfway through the year. So I just didn't want to be too locked into a year. And this is how I'm going to format the books as I read them. A lot of people, when they do this, they'll do like a quick review and then they'll move on to the next book. And it's probably people who read a lot more than I read. For me, I was like, I really want to take a full page and celebrate the fact that I completed a book. I just don't read that frequently. And so to me, I kind of want to celebrate every book that I read. You can tell by this, I'm more of a writer than like a chart person. So I just want to like write my thoughts on the book. So I did go ahead and order some book style stamps. I realized pretty quickly that this felt too small for me. And this was ironically the reason I purchased these. But I don't think that's going to work for me. I think the book title, the author, the start date, the end date, like I don't know when I started some of these or when I finished it. That's not really important to me. The genre is fun. I will definitely record that, the pages. I do like to record the format in which I listen to the books or read them because that is important to me because I want to push myself to read some physical books and Kindle books more because I've been just doing all audio, which I love. I had to order the little acrylic stamp part separately and then they just peel right off. So these were like maybe $10. These are nice. And like this is, I think maybe a chart. Let me peel that off. Yeah. Again, I don't know that that's really my vibe. Sorry, you're probably getting a really bad glare. And the ones that I feel like I'm going to use the most, I put in here. I like this little size. So yeah, I did a lot of pre-planning for this. So this is the format I think I want to do for the individual pages. The main characters I think are important. The hook to me is important because I, again, have a short attention span. And usually there's something about a certain scene or a certain character or a line, a quote that is kind of a hook for me. Most recently, I read A Court of Thorns and Roses. The hook for me in this book was when the main character is taken from her home in one of the beginning scenes. If you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. And I remember that scene was like, okay, I want to see what happens from here. I definitely love the little star stamp. This was something that I knew I wanted to use. So I figured I would do that below. This is still in progress. I'm not sure how my final look will be, but these are some of the main points, like how many hours were in the book of Audible or how many pages, if I listened to it, who are the main characters, what was the hook, kind of just the summary, my takeaway, most memorable scenes, quotes that I liked, and is there a sequel and will I read it? Because I've noticed that I've read a couple books that are in a series. So that's kind of the format that I want to follow here. Already, I wish I had started this sooner because I've forgotten some of the details from these books, but I started to do just the books that I've completed this year. So I've only completed almost 5. Back Bay, I have a few more hours left of this, but I should be done that by Monday or Tuesday. So yes, I have a lot more to go if I want to hit 25, but this is the format that I'm going to do. Again, I did the little frame here, and then I left spots for 25 books. If I don't finish this year, that's okay. I can just keep going, but that's what I'm going to do for this section. I actually only have one more section to share with you, but it's what I am most excited about. And that is this. I decided I'm going to do commonplacing. It just kind of came into focus for me. I can't tell you the number of videos I watched that talked about setting up reading journals. And I wish I could credit the person whose video mentioned commonplacing. This is not how she broke it down. But something just clicked for me because I was writing down all these things as like a separate page, like kind of more bullet journal style. Like this is going to be a double page spread of all the quotes that I like. And this is going to be a double page spread of my purchases this year. And I just thought that that was limiting For example, maybe I'm going to have 5 pages about quotes and maybe only half a page of book purchases, or vice versa. I didn't want to limit myself to pages, and I didn't want this to just be for 2025. So I thought, why don't I set it up like a commonplace, and then I can just write, because that's what I do best. I journal every day. I write and I write and I write. So I thought this was perfect, and I'm actually so excited about this. And I even left myself more options for commonplace stickers. So the way that I'm working this is I have these 2 rolls of stickers that, again, I think I ordered these on Amazon. And these were the colors that weren't my favorite. I can't find the ones that I had planned on using a long time ago. But these were like leftover, and I think they work with this book. So quotes about the author, like sometimes I'll want to do a deep dive. Like when I read Pride and Prejudice, I was so interested in Jane Austen, and I bought a book just about Jane Austen, and I feel like I could have a whole notebook about Jane Austen. But maybe I'm just going to write down little tidbits, and then I will do that little sticker. So the way that I am going to do this is I just pre-did like just lines here, and I only did a few. And I'll cross the bridge when I get there. So if I happen to read a quote in the back bay that I really like, I will write it here, and then I'll cite the book, and then I will do this little sticker here. So over in the margin, I'll just do that sticker, and I'll know that's a quote. And then maybe there's a new word that I look up. Somebody did a dictionary, and I thought that was so cool. But I may not do this very often, but I think it's kind of a cool thing to just kind of push myself to learn new words. So if there's a new word, I will put what the new word is, and then I will put that sticker next to it in the margin. And this way, I will just be a collection of information from the books without it being so structured to a 2-page spread that I feel guilty about if I don't fill it in, or to a 4-page spread that I do, and then I need 6 pages. That gives me anxiety. So this is why I set it up this way. Book club questions. I was going to do a whole book club section. And in fact, book club questions will probably take up a full page. So this is my Sterling Ink Common Planner. This has slowly been replaced by my Louise Carmen inserts, but I've been really consistent with this B6 planner. This is like my only like dated planner that I'm really into. I realized that I wasn't doing as many reflections at the end of the day. This has become a lot less consistent as I've written in other places. So I decided to divide the book and, use the notes here just for notes. So back here, I did A Court of Thorns and Roses. This was some of the information I recorded for our book club discussion. And these were some of the questions that I got offline. And then here's more design ideas for this notebook. But see, it's just here. I feel like this is the perfect thing to go in a commonplace notebook, the questions that we asked. So these are the types of things that I will now put over here. And I might take up 2 pages, and this will be just book club questions, but this will be where they live. And I love that. I think this has 192 pages, and I might be in this for 2 years or 3. So I really love this commonplace idea for my reading journal because it just feels so open-ended and doable. I feel like the decorations that I did here were enough to get me going. It feels uncluttered. That's important to me, but it also feels a little bit aesthetic. So I have this big roll of masking tape with these polka dots, and I decided to use that as like a page divider to just like stick it on and then cut around the edges to signify like a new chapter basically. And I think I'm going to do the same thing with like my reading book summaries. So maybe like that's why I was excited to leave this page open. Maybe I will just do like book summaries, and then maybe I'll do some collage-y thing here, and then we start with my books that I'm reading for the year. The only way I can see this somewhat limiting is once I hit my 25 books here, and I have my commonplacing here. Maybe I'll do this in 2025. Maybe it will take me, a few months into 2026. Will I regret not doing this whole section maybe at the back of the book? Maybe I find that I'm commonplacing all the time and I'm going to need like a big chunk of pages. Maybe I'm not doing a lot of commonplacing, but I'm reading a lot of books. So maybe I will count out some pages based on my activity and try to estimate how many pages I'll need till the end of the year. And then I can do another section for the books that I'm reading. But this feels very doable for me right now as a person who has historically not read much. Oh, there's one more section of the book that I'm really excited about, and I haven't decorated it yet. I am going to do a whole section on bookstores that I visit. This is a huge part of my reading journey and how much I love books. When I was reading Jane Austen last year, I was on a hunt for special edition Jane Austen books, either illustrated versions or I would look for old versions, and we would go to so many beautiful specialty bookshops. So I've been collecting stickers from a lot of the bookshops that I go to. So I definitely want to do a whole section in here, and I'll have to figure out where, just for special bookshops that I visit. So Strand Books is one of those bookshops in New York City. I've been here several times. There's also here in Boston, there is the Beacon Hill Bookshop, which is so adorable. I bought a couple stickers from their shop. Bookstore visits, stickers that I want to share locations. So the Strand, which is in New York City, the Beacon Hill Book Club. Lovejoy is like a romance bookshop in Cambridge, Mass. That is so phenomenal. It's in Harvard Square. There's a shop in Western Mass. I don't know what the name of that is, but we usually go to Yankee Candle every year. We did a little book tour to different bookshops last year. Trident Books is a phenomenal bookstore right on Newbury Street, very close to where I live. And then there's a shop in Brookline, Mass. that I really love. So I want to dedicate a page to each of these special bookshops. There's also like a Halloween, like spooky theme bookstore that we went to last fall when we were reading Jane Eyre in Connecticut. That was really cool. So I just want to have a section with all the fun bookshops that I visit. So I will find another section here beyond the commonplacing to do the bookshops that we visit. And if I don't want to limit myself, like I could just add bookshops here in my commonplace section and then sporadically put them in. Like that is another way of doing it so I don't have to be in the boundaries of how many pages I allot. Do you see where my brain is at? Like I don't like the guardrails on. So maybe I'll just put it in here. But I also joined Storygraph, and I don't know if I'm going to include any of my notes from Storygraph or Goodreads in my reading journal, but it was a thought. So this was kind of the planning process for me. I was thinking about doing a wish list, but then I decided that would just be in my TBR to simplify that. Bookspot, but haven't read. I don't know. Those are probably going to be in my TBR as well. So I decided not to put those in. Reading in Pixels, Rachel on Paper. That's where I saw that. See, I did reference that one. I liked her version of this. So I still have some open-ended ideas if I want to do more. That is it. So now let's talk about what our book is for book club. If I shut the overhead light off because otherwise there's going to be a glare. But here is our book club selection. This is what you voted for. Typically, I've done a standalone video, talked about the summaries about each book, but I decided moving forward, I'm just going to do an Instagram story post and put a community tab post on YouTube and people vote. So in the future, if you want to vote on the books, that's where it will be. One Golden Summer. I'm excited for this. So really quickly, it sounds like there's a woman who has memories of going to the lake at her grandmother's. And there's a boy, of course, who she meets when she's like 19 years old. And now it's several years later, her grandmother like breaks her hip or something, and they decide to go back for her to heal at the lake. And, you know, dreamy 19-year-old boy is there all these years later. People seem to really like this author. I've never read anything from her, but since this is our last month of summer, I wanted to give like real summer vibe options. One of the other books that was my favorite pick that I also plan to read, and it probably won't be a selection in future months, is Saltwater. This looked really good, and it was a little bit of a murder mystery tied into like a summer read that took place in Italy. So I'm probably going to be reading these in tandem, but I'm really excited about this. All you have to do to join book club is get the book, and I will make an announcement. It will probably be the last week of August. I'll do a live here on the channel. My good friend Laura joined me last month, and she said she would come back this month. It's really fun to have someone to chat with while we go over the book. We'll We'll discuss the book and then we'll rinse and repeat and do it for September. If you decide to join book club, just try to be ready with the book completed by the last week of August. That's when I'm hoping to revisit. Just want to show you really quickly that I'm planning to keep all my supplies for my reading journal in this pouch to keep it simple and to not cloud my thinking with a lot of extra supplies because I get overwhelmed. This will fit inside my Delphonics pouch, which is very lightweight. I can throw it in any bag. I actually went ahead and cut some of my stickers so they would be like little sheets, so I don't even have to store this whole roll in here. These can kind of fit in the side. This is going to get much prettier. I just haven't put it all together yet. I just wanted to get this video out for you. This is the Cafe with bronze trim. The ink in here is KWZ, smells like coffee. It feels like really cozy vibes for me. So this is what I wrote this section with. I'm just trying to keep really streamlined colors in here to keep it simple, and because I'm going to actually store the pens in the pouch. So I'm going to use this pen with KWZ Smells Like Coffee ink. Sorry, I'm getting stuffy all of a sudden. Zebra mild liner in brown. Zebra mild liner in gray is going to be in here. So in addition to this fountain pen, I'm going to be using 2 other fountain pens in here. As mentioned earlier, this is another TWSBI. It's a different model. It's a little bit of a step up from the TWSBI Eco. This is the TWSBI Diamond 580. I'm using this for my black ink, but then I need permanent ink too. When you use fountain pens, the ink is typically water-based. So if I use any highlighters, like for this page, my TBR page, when you write over any sort of ink, you can see that where it's white writing, it's much finer. And then where I wrote over the highlighter, it looks more like a broad pen. This is actually using the same pen, and that's this Pilot E95S, which I haven't used in a while. It's got an extra fine nib, and it writes really smooth. But I don't use this very often, and I don't usually use extra fine nibs, but it works really well when you're writing over ink. So I also have a Sailor ink that is permanent, that won't bleed. So I'm using this as well. So the ink that is in here, this black ink, will bleed, so I'll be sure not to use that over highlighted sections, and then I'm going to use this for highlighted sections. Hope that's not too confusing, but these I'm just going to keep in my pouch. So just brown ink and black ink, that's all I'm using here, and then these 2 highlighters as well. Those are all the pens that I'm going to use in here. Obviously, if you're not a fountain pen person, you won't use fountain pens. I will also keep the cutouts of all the books, and this will be ongoing as I read more throughout the year. I have some pet tape stickers that I've liked. These are like a winter theme, so a lot of them were like Christmassy looking, but I cut out the girls who were just like with books and things like that that looked kind of bookish. I liked this girl here. So I just did those. Like this I'm not going to use. I'm going to get that out of there. And then I have some of the stickers like bookshop, take me to the bookshop. I wanted to use that when I do the pages of the shops that I visit, read more books. Some of these are a little bold. I might use them, I might not, but these are all like little book stickers that I had. So I'm going to keep these in my section here. Read more books, I like that. And then of course I'll have my little stamps. And I think as I collect like little bookish stickers, I will keep them in here as well. I'm also going to keep a tape runner, double-sided adhesive tape. You can use a glue stick if that's what works for you. And I'm also going to keep my little portable scissors in here. I don't love these scissors, and I recently picked up these when I was traveling, but I'm definitely going to keep a pair of scissors in here for when I'm cutting. These aren't the greatest, but they're very lightweight and portable, and they travel very well. So maybe I will just keep those in there. I'm not a big washi tape person, but I do have 1 roll of washi tape that coordinates with this book that I'm going to keep in here. So that's the gist of it. It's all going to fit inside this little pouch, and we will travel together. That is all for today. I hope you found this helpful. I hope that if you are somebody who loves to read, but you're not super intense about it, and you want a reading journal, but you don't want to feel constricted by too many charts and tracking systems, I hope you found this helpful and a little liberating. I'm really excited about the commonplacing in this notebook, and I'm just excited to dig in and read. So I hope you'll join us for book club. I will see you at the end of August. Happy reading. I will see you soon. Take care.